Hello, it's March 2022, and I'm going to be talking about something that I've talked about extensively for many, many years. And I've highlighted this using, for example, the studies made famous by Julia Shaw, implanting false memories. Now, I'm going to tie this in with the big picture, worldwide, everyone. But I'm going to start off with one individual. Now, say, for example, one individual, maybe something had inspired them, or they're relying on a feeling or something, some sort of external input maybe, or maybe it's just something that they've come up with in their own mind. Now that person will start to ponder it, think about it, and start forming things to support it in their own mind. And I'm just going to segue for a moment. This is why it's dangerous for people to isolate themselves from everyone else, because you're not having anyone to bounce off of and think rationally. And I'm going to expand on that in the next part here. So you have this person who is creating a belief, and to believe is to make an uninformed conclusion. Now, that individual, whatever it is that initiated their steps, what if the information or the thought was inaccurate or false? And it could even be something just within themselves, biases, for example. Now there's a problem. That individual is skewed, their whole everything, and they can even build their self-identity around that false or inaccurate information. Now, let's talk about a few people. Now, it could even include this individual that we just talked about. They, by themselves, came up with something that is so far removed from reality, it's ridiculous. Now, you have a few people, and one person in the small group will say something, and the other people, it may resonate, or they might start doing the same thing as they did as an individual and start cherry picking and saying, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. And then they start using stupid words like resonating and whatever else. And then they start to talk amongst themselves. Now you have a small group in support of a false narrative or false information or something. That's a problem. Now, we can expand on this to the world stage. All you need is one person, air quotes when I say that, one person, or a few people that provide, whether it be by chance or design, inaccurate or false information, and it could be even an agenda behind it. And all they have to do, because they have access to mainstream media as well as independent media, social media, and just nudge a thought, an idea. Again, it could be true. Usually what we see, though, it's false or inaccurate information, biases, and all this other stuff. And now we have this broadcasted over the general population, the people of the world. Could be even just want to isolate it to a country or whatever, that's fine. But now we see this on a mass scale, and people will start talking amongst themselves. And then we, throughout, whether it's an individual, a small group, or in the world stage, we have the studies made famous by Julia Shaw kicking in, and people start to remember and recalling things. And there's a statement that Dr. Judy Wood once said about when you're trying to find out what happened, don't make a conclusion and then work backwards. Follow the evidence, follow the facts. And a lot of people don't do that. They'll formulate a conclusion and then boom. And the problem is, when that conclusion is based on false or inaccurate information, you can even apply perfectly sound logic to it. But if everything is based on the initial source, the ground zero of the thought or narrative is wrong or false or whatever, again, by chance or design, then there's a problem. And this is very dangerous. Now, where we see this very dangerous, say if there's a false narrative against an individual, and that individual can scream and yell all they want, saying, well, this is not right, this is wrong, but it doesn't matter anymore because the people have convinced themselves. And once people, whether it be an individual, especially in groups, and the larger the group, the harder it is, you're not going to change their mind. And if you do, it's so rare. And usually, unfortunately, it has to be done through what people perceive as official authorities. So that individual's life now is gone. They're destroyed. Now, we can see this, for example, on a worldwide stage. We have a small group of people rather than an individual, or even another country, another nation, or whatever it is. People will start to formulate and start forming their opinions, beliefs, theories, wants, and all this other stuff based on whatever false narratives or inaccurate information that has been presented to them. And it's not always the individual's fault or the group's fault, because people don't know any better. And then we have people trusting, blind trust, for example. And here we go, because what's interesting is people will give blind trust to perceived authority types, but what we see in society amongst themselves is distrust, extreme distrust, and that's through decades of propaganda and everything else, and fear-mongering and all this other stuff. And it's very interesting how the human species has been so manipulated on so many levels. So really, I just wanted to give you something to think about. And before you start, formulating a conclusion about anything, whether it be about an individual or a group or an event or anything else, you really have to sit back and think, what is really going on? Don't make a conclusion and then work backwards to make it, because then you're going to cherry pick. What are the facts? And if you can't make an absolute conclusion about anything, well, really, the best thing to do is remain silent, because you really don't have anything to say. And that's just the reality of things. So, and if that triggers anyone, I'll get over it. So anyway, I just wanted to give you some things to think about. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.